So sometimes when you're renting, it can be difficult because you can't change things, you can't fix things, and often landlords and management doesn't want to spend a lot of money, and I understand where they come from, so often they simply conceal things for you, as is the case with Carolyn Wool. She's my mother-in-law. She was moving from one unit to another in the same complex, and when my wife was over there helping her unpack and stuff, and mind you, this is completely rehabbed, all brand new paint, all new flooring, everything. It looked gorgeous. So while my wife is over there helping her move in, she notices some obvious fungal growth in the hall closet. So she calls me and says, I need to come take a look at it. We are a state licensed mold assessor, state licensed mold remediator. I'm a level 1 certified thermographer. I've been in the inspection game since 1998, so I've done this well more than 10,000 times. So I go over there and I'm using an E75 FLIR infrared camera, and I find out that the walls are wet 4 feet up. The door jambs are wet 4 feet up. And yes, I understand the infrared finds the anomaly, and my moisture meter proved the moisture content. I could moisture map the whole place, and in other words, everything was wet, all the walls were wet, and the smell was awful. I mean, it was a very, very pungent mold smell. You know what I'm talking about. So I took these pictures, I typed some stuff up, and we submitted them to management going, hey, there's a problem here. So my mother-in-law is almost 80 years old, and she's immunocompromised, so we can't have her in that environment, especially after I took samples and sent them to the lab, and you can see the results here. They came back high with some bad stuff. Okay, Aspergillus penicillium, known carcinogen, and we couldn't have her in that environment, so we moved her in with us. Management came over there one day when we happened to be there picking up some things, and my wife had noticed that they had a ServPro, some paperwork there, and I'm feeling good now. ServPro is a professional company. They do a lot of training. They are professional remediators. They know what they're doing, so I felt good. When I asked the one lady about, one of the managers about, hey, I said, you're using ServPro? She goes, yeah. They came in and did something kind of like what you do, and it's going to be about $6,000. And I knew we were on the right track, you know, because mold remediation is rarely a cheap game. It's often a thousands game. Then the other manager came out and says, no, we're not using ServPro. We're going to take care of this ourselves. I said, oh, okay, really? Who are you using? And the maintenance guy was there. So I asked the maintenance guy, I said, so you're the one going to be doing the remediation? He says, yeah, man, not a problem. I got this under control. I says, so what are you going to do? He says, well, I'm going to go cut out some of that drywall in there. I go, well, you know, you saw my report, like all the walls are wet. You're probably going to find some stuff growing inside. He goes, don't worry about it. I got it taken care of. I go, oh, so what protocol are you going by? And he says, he looks at me and he says, listen, I've been doing this for 15 years. I know what I'm doing. I got this. I'm going to spray it all down with bleach. And I tell you what, I'm even going to come back in 3 days and make sure it's all gone. And I said, so you're not following any protocol? He goes, I'm following my protocol. I go, and you realize you're only going to make the problem worse by not following a real standard protocol. At which point he wasn't real happy with me and left. And it's not my position to argue or dictate. I'm simply there as an observer for my mother-in-law who's immunocompromised, and we've proven that we've got some bad stuff here in the air and with swabs and so forth. So they came in and they placed a DHU and not a fan, another machine in there, and left it for a few days and did nothing. And this is after they cut out about 6 inches of drywall inside the closet. And a few days later they came and took their machines and went home. We went back again. They've removed the cabinet. Of course, in the wall cavities you can see all kinds of fungal growth. The walls are still wet. I couldn't see anywhere that anybody has addressed the source. Okay. So when we asked, you know, what are you going to do here? They have it under control and they're waiting for a new vanity to put a new vanity in there. You're just going to cover this up. And at which point they don't like being pushed in a corner like that. And we said, listen, all we want is a new unit. That's all we want to do is a new unit. And we eventually found one, and my mother-in-law says, I'd like my son-in-law to go ahead and take some samples in there and make sure I've got a safe environment, and so I can move in there, because I can't move back into another contaminated environment. And at that point they said, well, you're using an unauthorized vendor, which I'm an unauthorized vendor, but I'm not acting as a vendor. I wasn't collecting any monies, anything. This was simply watching out for my mother-in-law, right? And they told her, you have 2 weeks to get out. Thanks a lot. So we took some more samples, and check out the comparison before and after. To this date, they have gone back in there and they've covered everything up. They're going to paint it and rent it to somebody else. I feel really bad for somebody else moving in there. So the legal stuff, you'll have to consult, obviously, your counsel. I have no opinion on that. However, if you are a renter and you need some help, some documentation, there's plenty of professionals out there if you're not in our area. If you are, we'd love to come take a look, and we can document and source, investigate where the problem is coming from, and get things documented for you from licensed people. Thanks for your time. Sorry this was long, but hey, give us a call, 407-678-4663. That's 407-678-HOME. Thanks.